MMA Rants and Raves, The Ultimate Fighter Season 14 Finale Post-Fight Review. Guys, let's go over some of the main fights. Start off with Dodson versus Dillashaw in the bantamweight fight. With Dodson, he's showing that he's really quick, accurate. He hurt Dillashaw earlier and then later on followed up with another punch that really landed hard. Dillashaw went down. I don't believe it was an early stoppage. So moving on to the featherweight fight. Bermudez versus Brandao. Wow. I spoke about this before. When you see guys fighting in the Ultimate Fighter show, you see them showcasing their skills to get into the house and be successful while they're in the house. You don't see the other skills that they show in the actual Ultimate Fighter finale, and that's what happened in this fight. That's exactly what happened in this fight. They were showing Brandao in the Ultimate Fighter show as having this really dangerous knockout power and the really good striking, the technical striking, his quickness. But I didn't see any jiu-jitsu. I don't remember seeing it. But what happened was, in this fight, it was just totally different, and it seemed like he even took Bermudez by surprise. And of course, Bermudez was trying to stand up with this guy. He looked really good. He was mixing up his kicks, his punches very well. The guy can really take a punch. He showed that in the Ultimate Fighter show. And he did in this fight and just kept on fighting. And then he took it to the ground. He was showing that he's more well-rounded than Brandao. And it looked like things were going well for him, but out of nowhere, he was able to get a hold of his left arm and do a spin right into an armbar. And that was a grueling armbar. I just felt so bad for Bermudez because, he was tapping as Brandao did the spin. And the ref couldn't get there quick enough. And it's a point I want to make. It's kind of interesting because when you watch fights where you have two guys that have knockout power, they tell you sometimes don't blink, right? But this was a don't blink type of situation, but it wasn't with striking. It was with jiu-jitsu. That was a don't blink jiu-jitsu move, and it happened so quickly. Even the ref couldn't stop it in time, and Brandao was holding on to it, and Bermudez was kicking his legs. He must have been in agony. It was a very quick submission. It was so quick and so explosive. It was just mind-boggling. Very impressive. And when the fight ended, just to look at it, he won the Ultimate Fighter featherweight matchup, and he's the new Ultimate Fighter, the very first Ultimate Fighter. It makes you wonder. This kid, he's got great knockout power. He's very quick, has great footwork, and now he's got this jiu-jitsu. I've never seen an armbar. I can't remember seeing an armbar like that. This guy's a well-rounded fighter. And it's kind of interesting because he just reminds me of Jose Aldo. He has this knockout power, very good striking. And he kind of looks like him too. And they're both in the same division. So I guess Aldo has to watch out for this guy. This is not like the other weight classes. He may be a fight away from a title shot. It's not like the other weight classes. And that's another point I want to make. This is the very first Ultimate Fighter season where they had these two new weight classes that they're introducing into the UFC in the show. And if you look at other Ultimate Fighter winners, some of them are not even in the UFC anymore. And, all because they win the Ultimate Fighter doesn't mean they're going to have the successful career in the UFC. As you can see, that has not happened. But I think these two guys, it's going to be different. I think these two guys are going to have some success. Especially as Brandao. He just looks really good. I was very impressed with this guy. And Dodson was impressive too. And moving on to the main event, the coaches, Bisping versus Miller. I think stylistically this was a really tough matchup for Miller. He came in with a very good game plan. He happens to be a very cerebral fighter. He came in with a good game plan. He was very aggressive. He looks like he was doing well. He was really taking it to Bisping. He was throwing leg kicks, punches. He was aggressive on him. He even took him against the cage. And it was a good game plan because the way to beat Bisping, one way that I see it, it's what Henderson did and Wanderlei Silva. You got to get in his face and be very aggressive. And Henderson and Wanderlei Silva are known to be guys that fight that way. And they were successful. And it looked like Miller was trying to take a page out of their book and try to be aggressive, but he just couldn't keep up. It's the cardio. You got to have that cardio. Henderson has it. Vanderlei Silva has it. These two guys have really good cardio. He couldn't keep it up. And what happened was it looked like he was pacing himself more. He started to stay on the outside, and that is not a good thing to do against Bisping. His striking is too technical. He's too accurate, and he's got incredible cardio. He's just a very good athlete. And Miller just couldn't keep up with it. Bisping just took over the fight. He really won this fight because he was able to win the fight with cardio. He was able to be the guy who has more cardio, who has better conditioning. And of course, if you don't have the cardio, you can just sit there on the outside and trade punches, but you're not going to win a fight like that with Bisping because his striking is just too good. He's too technical. He's too good of a boxer. And to Miller's credit, he even took Bisping down, which is a very difficult thing to do. He was showing a very good fighting technique and good fighting style to fight a guy like Bisping, but it was really cardio that was his undoing. That's really the way I saw it. He just couldn't keep up with it. So anyway, the finale was good. A lot of good fights. So I'd like to know what you thought about the finale and TUF 14. Please leave your comments below the video, rate this video, and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in.